Okay, welcome back to the DocOva channel. In this video, we're going to have a quick look at pages, JavaScript, agents, script libraries, images, and CSS. All right, so let's go. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to generically just touch on a number of application design elements quickly. We will see these elements in subsequent videos or videos to come in the future where we'll get into more details with them. But I just wanted to touch on them here quickly in one video so that we can move on to forms and views and workflow because there's a lot to go over there, a lot of great creative stuff that you can do with those things. And these elements kind of support those elements in a way. So suffice it to say, I just wanted to do a video where we touch on these elements quickly, just so you know that they're there and stuff, and then you'll see them as we go through some of the other things. First thing I'm going to talk about is just pages. And so what I'm going to do is, again, with the element demo application, which is in the DocOva App Store, this is where all these videos, or a lot of these videos, will be referencing this application, so that when you're looking at them on YouTube like this, you can, see the application on your system perfectly fine, and put it in your application, or what we're saying here, implement in your applications. Okay. So I'm going to open up the element demos application into the app builder. And I'm going to look at pages. So pages are like HTML pages. This is kind of like typical HTML pages. I'm going to open up the intro page here. And you can see on this page, at the top right, the page properties, where you can put in the page name and alias if you want. And you'll see here too that there is an additional CSS and additional JS. So this is additional cascading style sheets that you've created, which we're going to touch on in a second, and also additional JS libraries, which you can add into pages as well. Same with forms. You'll be able to create your own CSS and your own JavaScript libraries and just include them here by checking on the checkbox. It's that easy to include them. If I click on the next tab down on the far right there, you see the elements that you can use on pages. Now these elements are very similar to what you'll find on forms, except pages are more of a display of information, whereas forms capture information. Can be used just to display information too. Forms are much more dynamic that way. But pages, sometimes you just need pages just to show information. They're efficient that way. And so here, just as an example, I have just some text element demos application. I put an icon on there, which is just a fun, awesome icon that you can drag and drop. A paragraph of text just to talk about what the application is about, and this image here. So this image is added from the image resources, which we're going to see down the left hand side. You'll see that there's images. We're going to touch on that in a second too. So this is called DocOva Jellies, this image in particular. So just to touch on what you can add to a page, you can add labels, you can type text. This text is typed right in, so you can type that and change the style of it. Computed text, which is very powerful in that you can marry that with our built-in DocOva formula language to look up information, calculate things, all kinds of stuff you can do with that, which I'm saying we'll touch on in the future, you'll see. HTML code, so this is an HTML code editor that you can drop in and type in your HTML and make sure that you type it in well formed. You can add buttons, images like you can see, icons like you can see, menus like I touched on in the menu video, where you can add embedded menus. And that's really great because you could add a background image onto a page and then put your menu on it, and it's really nice, right? You can, and I'll show you an example of that. You can add tables, tabbed tables, embedded views, which we'll go through much more in the future. Charts, which are your pie charts, bar charts, scatter charts, donut charts, those kind of things. All your business analytics. So if you want to display that in dashboard and so on. You can add panels so you can have more sections than just this. We have barcoding, which is great from this point of view, or even from your mobile apps, which there'll be examples of that in the future as well. Google Maps, weather, these are just examples of other components you can bring together onto a page. So let's go look at a couple of examples. Just the Element Demos application, when I click on it and open it, you can see the page that we were looking at. So here it is, it's just informational for when you first open the app, and then when I go to Form Elements and I type on text, that page gets replaced with a view of information. So that's just an example of the opening splash page. Getting started widget here, that is a page. The Launch Docova Application Store widget, that is a page. In the bug tracking app, just to show you an embedded menu, so the top header here is a page. It has a background image, which is that electronic board look, and it has an embedded menu on it. So you can see the dashboard, open, in progress, tickets, so when you create new tickets and stuff like that. So all of these things, so that top bar there is a page with all these things embedded on it. You can get really creative about how you use pages in your application. And so a very useful component. So next, let's talk about JavaScript. So you can add your own JavaScript libraries. In this particular case, in the Element Demos database, we do have a couple of demo buttons, and when you click on them, they pop open just alert dialogues. And so we just have a demo.js library here, and on the form that has the buttons on it or what have you, we just include this library. So if you remember, I showed you where you could select your CSS, your additional CSS or your additional JS on the page, where you just check the checkbox. When you've created a JavaScript library or a CSS library, they become available to include on your pages or on your forms, for example. If I go down to CSS, we just jump down to that for a second. You'll see that we have a timer and a general example and some more discussion. So these are a little bit more involved. If I open up, you'll see that there's CSS here that's being used somewhere else in the Element Demos application. So it's just an easy way for you to create and manage your JavaScript and your CSS in your application, right? So whenever you're in your application, like, oh, where's the CSS that we did for that? Where's that JavaScript function that we did? You can easily come here and find it. Okay, so let's talk about agents. So agents are programs that you can run, a little bit more sophisticated, not really for your citizen developer yet. But these agents, what's really cool about them is they're really flexible based on their schedule. So there's some security. I'll just talk about the security quickly here, where you can run the agent as a user or as the admin kind of level access. And that's because you might want to restrict what these agents can do, right? They're operating in the back end. And so it's a way for you to say, who's running it. And if the schedule is never, then you can have code that kicks these agents off and runs as a user. So if I'm a user and you have some kind of functionality that happens and that user, submits a form or saves something or clicks a button or whatever it is, whatever action it is that the user takes, that you can grab things like their username and stuff in the back end that gets passed in, so the agent's running as the user. It's an important concept. Again, another one of those functionalities that makes Docova really, truly, technically heads and shoulders above so many other low-code solutions out there. Now, from a scheduling point of view, if you want to run it on a schedule, you can say more than once in a day. So you can run it every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, every 12 hours, 6 hours, whatever that is. You can also say run it daily, in which case you say what time you run it. It's going to run at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Weekly, of course, now you pick what day of the week it runs and what time. And monthly, of course, what day of the month and what time it's going to run. So it has all those kind of functionalities available for you. Script libraries, same kind of thing, except this is like JavaScript libraries, except these are back-end libraries, typically in PHP for Docova. And again, we'll do a more technical video in the future for those. All right, so images. The images here are really image resources for the application. I showed you on the element demos database the .gova jellies image here, and there's other, here's a header image that was used in the header of an application in an example. This is just a cloud image, and I think we got a registration image. So these are part of demos in the element demos application. But just to show you, you basically just say, give me a new image and add an image, and basically it gives you your computer and you can add images to the image resources of an application. It's really that easy. You'll see the image pop up in front of you, and then when you go to use it, like in Pages, for example, so I'm just going to create a new page to demonstrate this and move my image, my little video image out of the way here. So if I go over to the page elements and I drag an image over here and drop it, you'll see that I get the default image, which is just our logo. And if I select an image, you'll see that the image gallery dialog that I'm presented with are all the images that I've put into the image resources, right? So I can pick the cloud here, insert the image, and so on, and there it is. And I can do this for panels as well. I can come to a panel and I can say, I want to use an image for a panel. And when I do that, I can choose the image that is going to be for the panel, and I can set other properties for it. But it's a really nice, easy way to use images to be the background image of your page, of your form. Maybe you want it, like I showed you in the bug reporting, you want to put a menu in front of it and stuff like that. So it's just a really nice, easy way to use an image as a background too, or get it as a background and put other elements in front of it. That kind of thing we'll have as an example in, there's a lot of I'm going to say web page type applications that have that kind of functionality. You could argue that it's contemporary these days too to do that, since lots of applications are browser-based applications. But you'll see in our kiosk mode demo where we show you how to deploy an application externally, like on your website or something, so that you can have external people come and register their username and password and stuff and interact with you on the applications that you build. So that the typical construction or let's say trades come in and they register as a trade, as professionals, as plumbers or electricians, and they put information about their company in, and then people come in as residents or commercial entities that are looking for plumbers and electricians and stuff like that. And then they ask people to bid on jobs or whatever. So you could do that with an application in .gova, and that's where these images, images of previous work that you've done, stuff really become, you really need the flexibility to be able to build that yourself, right? And to be able to do it quickly. And so yet again, another thing that makes .gova very powerful, in that you can assemble these kind of applications and interactions with your external suppliers or designers or customers through applications that are being used internally on the platform and externally, for example. So anyways, the point of this video being that I just wanted to touch on the agents and script libraries and images and pages and stuff like that. We're going to see more about them in the future, but just to touch on them and say, hey, here are design elements for applications. And now we can move on to the forms and views and workflow stuff. So stay tuned, subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment or a question below, and we'll get to them as we see them. All right, thanks for joining me today. See you on the next one.